Coming up in today's episode.
Darn it, I forgot my cup of coffee, and you have to go back inside at the level of energy. There's a contraction happening. Welcome to Enter the Mind, episode 99, the most real talk, no nonsense podcast on the empowering of the mind. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about good weeks and bad weeks. So, Kyra, the reason I wanted to talk about this topic was last week was kind of challenging for me at the level of mindset. And I don't even know what happened. I mean, I think there were various factors. Usually it does, right? But I was reflecting and I was like, wait a second. There's never going to be a time where years and years go by and there isn't a rough week. It's more of like rhythm and cycle. And like Michael Jordan, he didn't win every single game of his career. He lost a few games. But the thing is, every time he lost a game, because I watched his documentary, he would get extremely motivated and he would come back the next game even stronger. And so the model is not so much like steady. It's kind of like, all right, a little bit of a dip. All right, I'm coming back even stronger. And then you come up, have your rise, and then it goes back down. But like every couple of weeks, isn't it inevitable that we encounter some sort of obstacle or tough situation or crisis or whatever?
Yes, definitely. And it's actually funny that we're bringing this up because I think that people have different perspectives of what like life is, and like some people really believe that like you should have a steady, like you shouldn't get too sad and you shouldn't get too happy, like you should have this steady sort of thing. And I remember I used to feel like I was wrong for having these crazy dips and then coming back, 10 times harder, but really it's not. I have the most amazing weeks in the world. And then sometimes my weeks are so freaking annoying and like unproductive in my mind, that I'm just like laying in bed and just like, I'm just laying and I'm just like, life. When in reality, my life is quite amazing. But, we have to go through those down dips. That's the law of polarity. That's what gives us the fire. It's almost like we really have to be reminded every couple of weeks how shitty our lives can really be if we don't keep this shit up. Like, you can either have, the rise and the fall while you're working towards something, or you can have the rise and the fall and you're just in that same standstill the whole time.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the stock market where it goes up and down on a daily basis, but overall, like over the decades, it goes up over time. Like you've seen the graph, right? It's jagged, but in the big scheme of things, it's going up and up every year. So that really gives me a new perspective on life when, especially encountering something, I think it makes me a little more chill when stuff starts to go awry and not the way you expect it to.
Definitely agree. And when things aren't going the way that I expect it to, they're always going the way that I expect it to. If I want something to happen and it's not happening, it's just because there's a misalignment within myself. And that kind of downtime is that time that you need to realize and be like, okay, well, I hear you. This is not working. We need to try a different approach. We need to do something else. And that's when you come out of that, downtime, that kind of pitfall, and you're like, I've got a clearer mind. I feel more confident going towards what I want. I went through the pitfall. I felt the down feelings, but I'm ready to get back up. I'm not going to stay here forever.
Right. And I think what I became aware of last week was how much extra and unnecessary energy is spent on being upset that the week isn't going the way you want it to. There's so much additional energy there.
That's actually a super great breakdown of like how you can break down your weeks, like or your months even. Like hey, like what went good today and what went bad today sort of thing, and like which one is winning. I may have gotten like a new client, right? So I got this new amazing client, but what I really really wanted was to have a connection with my boyfriend, a deeper connection, right? So I may have got the new client and that's something that I really really wanted, but the main priority for me was to get the connection with my boyfriend, and I didn't do that. So my day, it's not as good as I wanted it to be, and I think that this can show you what you actually want in life, right? Instead of kind of like the illusory image of what you want. Like I may have thought that I wanted that client, but I didn't really want the client. I wanted something inner. The goal that I wanted today and for this week was inner. And I wasn't going for it because I didn't know how to listen to my soul. But this activity can help you single out that one thing that's on your soul.
And what's the activity again?
So my self-help activity book that's coming out soon actually helps you do this. But you write down like what happened in your day that's good and bad, and then which one is winning. Like when you go to bed at night and you're not in a happy mood, it's because the other side won. And what won? What's on your heart so deep that you think that you think you haven't won the day?
I've been going back and forth myself because one week I'll be so focused on, oh, I want to work on my coaching business. I'm going to do all these hours outside of my 9-to-5 job. And then my social life takes a dip. And then I'm like, all right, forget this business stuff. I need to socialize more. But it's just this back and forth. It feels kind of reactive though.
How did it feel reactive?
Reactive in the sense of I'll push really hard on the business for a couple weeks and then I'm like, what the hell? My social life is not happening. And so I'm like, screw this. I'm not touching this video stuff for, a week or two. And then I'm just like going back to the other side. And then the social life, spent a few weeks on that. And then I'm like, what the heck? Nothing is happening with my coaching business. And then I run back to the other side.
I think that the best way to handle something like that, which sounds to me like you really want to focus on your business, but then like you miss your friends. So like you kind of start resenting it. And you're like, I'm going back to my friends, right? And then I feel like in my mind, like I would start resenting my friends because I look at my business and there's nothing in my business, right? So I go back to my business and then I start resenting my business because I miss my friends. And that's something that I definitely did a lot. And I think that the best way to handle that is to remember to have that balance. Like remember, like even if you feel like you want to go hard on your business, take like a little bit of time and hang out with a friend and just see how that feels, because it may spark new inspiration in your business, and then you can go back and put that in your business, and then working on your business will get you excited to hang out with your friends, so you go and take a break with your friends, and then it just kind of feeds off of each other when you have that balance and you're not just kind of singling everybody out.
Yeah, I actually came up with a new concept recently, which I call energy contraction. And this came about because of observing people that I grew up around and observing myself. And what I mean by an energy contraction is anything as small as you walk out the door, you get to your car and you say, darn it, I forgot my cup of coffee, and you have to go back inside, get your coffee, and come out again. And it sounds like such a simple and trivial example, but from a psychological perspective and at the level of energy, I would want to point out that there's a contraction happening, that you're angry. Now you're starting the morning angry. You're talking negatively to yourself. You're lowering your vibration because you're going from a level of like expansion or joy to a level of anger. And according to Frederick Dodson's levels of energy scale, anger, I think, is a 150 on the scale. So if you start to think of these emotions as actual like levels on a vibrational scale, higher vibrations and lower vibrations, you enter lower vibration by saying, oh man, this week was crap, or oh man, I've been spending too much time on my business or my social life. Oh man, I forgot this thing in the house. Like, who cares if you forgot in the house? Because what's the opposite of a contraction? Expansion. And what if you expanded and you're like, oh, I need to go get the cup of coffee in the house. I wonder if I'll find something else that I forgot. Mm-hmm. And if you reverse the spin of that from, oh man, all crap, to, ooh, what other good thing might come? Let me go back into the house. What else might I find? And you start reversing that direction. Now you're entering an expansive cycle and spiral.
Most of the time I've been trying to like switch my brain to, instead of like doing that energy contraction and, you know, like messing up my beautiful energy, you know, I say to myself, like, or I say to like God or like my angels, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you for reminding me. Like, thank you for reminding me that I forgot my coffee, because I would have been upset that I didn't grab it.
Yeah. And another example of a good reframe would be like how so many people with their fitness stuff, they count their steps. You could immediately think, all right, great, I just got 20 bonus steps because I have to go back into the house to get my coffee. It's like I'm getting even closer to my goal. Yeah. And that will get you excited. It will, you know, keep the dopamine high. But that's, to me, the big payoff of this awareness, because we got to be aware of, like, you know, those contractions are such energy killers. Like, when I see other people engage in it, and I'm observing it in myself more than ever now that I'm cued into it. But that stuff is so bad because it's so, you don't catch yourself doing it. Like every little thing, phone rings at work and you look at the caller ID and you're like, oh, I don't want to hear from this person. That's a contraction. Like why would you allow that in your energetic reality? Instead of saying, ooh, this could be a tough call. I'm going to crush this call. I'm going to handle this. Yeah. Right? Like every 5 seconds, literally every 5 seconds, we have the opportunity to enter an energy expansion as opposed to a contraction, I think.
No, I think that coming back to your successes in your weeks and coming back to like which side is winning. Okay, so like say you had a crap week in your eyes, right? But you earned $50,000, you had great sex, and you met 2 new really good friends, right? But you had a shit week in your eyes because you were supposed to do something personal for yourself that you have not gotten around to, right? So now it's really showing you that, like, it doesn't matter if you had gotten all of that or you didn't get all of that. What you really wanted was this personal thing. And it's also saying that, like, if it didn't work out, like if something didn't work out, then that was you being receptive enough to your angels telling you that this is not working, and you can change that into a win. And you can reframe that to reframe your week at the end of the week, so that way at the end of the week you're not having that shitty energy contraction and you're not being like, oh, this week was so shit, like I didn't get anything done. If you can just remember all of the times that you won, that's the only thing that you'll see in your reality.
So this is at the end of the week review, you're saying?
Yeah, so you can do it like at the end of your days, and you can do it at the end of your weeks, and you can just, figure out like what God is preparing you for, what the universe is preparing you for, how you fucked up, what lesson he was trying to teach you, so that way you can move forward. So that way at the end of the week, instead of contracting because you think you had a shitty week, you can expand in that direction that you were talking about. Expand with true information, as opposed to you're closing your eyes to all of the wins that you had this week due to a habit that you learned.
Right. Yeah, because we tend to ignore some of the good things when we get caught up in that spiral. What's crazy about that spiral is, because I was in that last week, and I know we did our episode on frustration spirals. The crazy thing is just how magnetic that spiral is. It brings in everything of the same frequency. And so if you're frustrated, which I have to look at my phone again for this diagram. Frederick Dodson, if you guys haven't checked out his book, Levels of Energy, oh, it's so good. He has a scale, numerical scale for like every emotion, every vibration, essentially. I also did a YouTube 20-minute summary on this book, so check out Levels of Energy at the Existence First YouTube. But let me go through some of it right now. The levels. So it starts at the bottom, and this is not all of them, but at the bottom, shame is a level 20, guilt is 30, apathy is 50, grief is 75, fear is 100, desire is 125, anger is 150. So if you're angry or frustrated, you're at a level 150. Now this scale goes all the way up to 1,000. So if you're at a level 150 of anger, think of how much higher your vibration could be. And some of those higher vibrations, once you get into the past the 200s, you're getting into things like courage, 300 willingness, 350 acceptance, 500 love, 540 joy, 600 peace. That's what higher vibration is right there.
That's nice. That's nice. And I think that the way to reach those higher vibrations is to make sure that you're not accumulating junk throughout the day, to make sure that you're not contracting your energy throughout the day. And to do this, you can really become aware of your wins during the week. We were never taught to actually go through how many times we won, right? So I may not have gotten everything that I wanted in this past 2 weeks, right? But you know what? I got everything that I needed in order for me to move forward. So yes, I had an incredible week. There's nothing that I am contracting, there's everything that I am expanding, because I'm not closing my eyes to the wins. I'm not focusing on the illusion that I didn't do anything significant. When I ask people their wins for the week, right? They'll be like, oh, I had this win and this win. And I'm like, surely there are more wins than that. I wake up in the morning, I think a happy thought. That's a win. That's a fucking win. And why is it a win? Because I am aware that I've trained myself enough to wake up in the morning and give myself a positive thought so that way I can have a happy day. That's a win. That's a win, right? And you need to bring awareness to all of those small wins during the day, because they're really going to hype up your energy, your confidence in yourself.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think sports is provides evidence of this, because a lot of times a sports team can win because they have the psychological momentum, right? They could be coming off of another win or something, and their mindset is so different versus another team that came off of a loss. Or you're exactly right. That mindset can be shifted by paying more attention to every little win.
Yes, because in natural law, right, it says that we cannot be anything else other than what we fill our heads with all day, right? So
yes, correct.
If we're filling our heads with our losses, then we're really not winning. We're really not fulfilled. But if you train your mind to perceive almost everything is a win, everything is a win, even when you lose, you're winning, then you become a much more happier and forward moving human. You fail forward, as they say.
Yeah, that's interesting. I in one of my weekly sessions with my own coach, who used to work underneath Tony Robbins, when I told him oh, my week was difficult, he said, what's interesting is you always talk about wanting to be like Tony, but Tony would never describe his week as oh, I had a tough week this week. And I was like, all right, good point.
I mean, maybe they would. I don't know. I don't think that they would be saying something like I had a tough week. Yeah, I definitely.
Right. It's like lower vibration. It's like where, and then the question is like, where did I learn that? Right. So where have I been around people who did say out loud, I had a tough week this week. Right. Because I learned that from somewhere. And it's time to unlearn that crap.
Unlearn, because we are unwinding and we are rewinding up everything that is actually true about us. And I think that that's where most people get up. I mean, that energy contraction, really all it is just a big lie. It's just a big lie. Anything that brings you out of vibration is just a small lie. It's just a lie. You just got to admit to yourself that you're lying about how shitty your life is and start, actually realizing how amazing you are. So like, you take like a poor person, right? Somebody who's, I guess, like kind of doesn't really have much money at all, to feed their family or things like that, right? But every day they come home and they make their children smile. They make their children laugh. They tickle their children and they bring their moods up, right? So maybe in their mind, they see it like they're poor and they don't really have much to give. But in my mind, I see it as, I'm going to go into that house and I'm going to tell that woman to bust out a course on how to make your kids smile and laugh, even when you don't have that much money. And guess what? All of the women who don't have much money are going to take the little amount of money they have just to figure out how they can make their kids smile like this woman does who has no fucking money. So it's all about your perspective on life. And everybody in this world has beautiful gifts, no matter if you're poor, rich, black, white, whatever you are, pink, short, tall. Everybody has specific gifts and everybody is confident. You just need to understand that and bring awareness to it.
That's a nice little concluding thought there.
What do you think would be a great power question for somebody who's having a bad week right now?
I would say, first of all, what's your energetic level right now? Because when I took a look at that scale, I went from confusion and like, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling like this? To clarity. Like, oh, I'm at a 150. I'm at vibrational level 150. I'm at anger. And when I saw that, it became so clear to me of what was possible, of all of those vibrations higher than that one that were available to me. So my power question would be, what energy level are you at right now? What level are you vibrating at? Are you vibrating at a level 150 or 600? Peace.
I actually wanted to add
go ahead,
one
Kyra.
thing. So Robert and I are coming up with a lot of new things in Enter the Mind. So we would really appreciate if you have any ideas on things that you would like us to do or things that you think would benefit you. Make sure to send us in everything that you might want to see or anything that's unclear and Enter the Mind so we can fix it for you and make it more entertaining, so we can mix entertainment with like self-help and just really get it in and feeling good. But yes, so we are thinking of possibly interviewing some people in person in the upcoming future. It would be a really great episode and a really great way to gather data on the human mind so we can make these episodes better and bring more value and more entertainment. So exciting.
So send us a message on Facebook or Instagram, and also type comments in the YouTube version of these episodes. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Did you find at least one gold nugget in today's episode? Then please like and subscribe and share it with a friend. And finally, if you're looking for a community of like-minded people, join our free Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/enterthemind.